Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to look at the London systems, and also there's another interesting opening that I will be taking you through at the end of the video. But we shall also have model games that we shall show you after we have looked at the systems. So the London system starts after the move pawn to d4. The common response to the move pawn to d4 is pawn to d5, and then after knight f3, let's say knight f6. Usually white puts their bishop on the h2 b8 diagonal, and that marks the start of the London system. So usually after bishop to f4, black has several ways to handle this position. That involves pawn to c5, pawn to e6, maybe bishop to d6 or bishop to e7, and castle in queenside, as is usually done in the Queen's Gambit decline. So after bishop to f4, let's say pawn to e6. Usually white is aiming at putting his pieces on specific squares. As you can see, our bishop is on f4. Our knight usually comes to d2. The light squared bishop comes to d3. And then we castle kingside, or even queenside sometimes, depending on the necessity in the position. So after e6, white can start with knight b to d2, following our scheme of development of our pieces to these specific squares. That's why it's called a system, because the pieces usually go to the same squares, except on very few instances when we react to maybe a certain change in move by the black player. So pawn to c5 striking the center. Usually we just respond to that with pawn to e3, because then we're opening for our light squared bishop to go to its natural square on d3. But also we are ready to capture back on d4 with our pawn. So after knight to c6, pawn to c3, strengthening and finding our triangle. As you can see, the pawn triangle, which is one of the characteristics of the London system. Bishop to e7, bishop to d3, castles, and finally knight to e5. And as we can see, this opening has a lot of attacking potential. As you can see the arrows, our bishop is pointing towards the king side. We have our dark squared bishop also, which can help us in the attack on the king side. We also see that our queen has potential to join the attack via f3 or via h5, depending on the changes in the position. And even our rook can get involved in the attack after the pawn avalanche with the h4. The London system can also be played against other systems other than d5. For example, there are people who love to play the kings in an attack, but still we can play our London system. Let's say knight f6, knight f3, g6. Once again, we bring our bishop to f4. As you can see, the pieces are going to the same squares. Bishop to g7, knight to d2. And here, the Grandfield players will play pawn to d5, stopping us from playing pawn to e4 and taking full control of the center. But the King's Indian players will play d6, and then we have a choice, either to play e3 or take the full center with e4. But as you can see, once again, our minor pieces are going to the same squares. Let's say, for example, pawn to e4, castles, and then bishop to d3. And we have our minor pieces on the same squares. This time we may not have knight to e5 jump, but we have other ideas that can come up. We might start an attack with h4, h5. We might play queen to e2, castle queenside, and go for the attack on the king side. Even the move e5 comes to mind in this position, taking more control of the center and harassing this knight, thus misplacing it in a way. Also, the London system can be played against the Indian defenses, such as the Nimzo Indian and the Queen's Indian. Let's say after knight f3, e6, we can still play bishop to f4. This time, of course, they don't have bishop to b4 pinning knight, so it's not exactly an Indian, but you can see that the London structure can still be applied in these positions. Let's say sometimes they may go with c5, but then once again, every time you see c5, you just play e3 such that we can capture back with a what? With a pawn. Let's say after knight c6, c3, oops, that was a mouse slip, c3, and then once again we have our triangle structure, the London, and our pieces will go to the same natural squares. For example, let's say bishop d7, d2, it's a d5, and we arrive back at the same structure or position after castles and knight e5, and once again, same attacking potential can be realized. London can also be played against the Queen's Indian. Let's say if they go b6, same thing after e3, bishop to b7, knight b to d2, c5, c3, knight c6, bishop to d3. And you find that we are having the same structure in every game, and we know exactly where our pieces are going. That's what makes the London system beautiful, because you don't have to learn a lot of theory, and you know exactly where your pieces need to go. So you'll be very familiar with the structure. And as you play more games, you get familiar with the ideas that revolve around the structure. Because usually the reti comes from the move order knight to f3, and then we are fianchetering our bishop. But in this case, we shall be starting with pawn to d4, because that was the theme of the day. And let's say after pawn to d5, knight to f3, say knight to f6, now we fianchet our bishop, and we are back to the structure that can arise from the reti, but this time we have started with pawn to d4. Why I love this system is because it's very simple, and once again, most likely the pieces are going to the same squares, and since the structure is the same in it's almost every system, you'll be able to master the structure and play the same ideas and get playable positions. So let's say after e6, bishop to g2, bishop to e7 castles, we can go back to the Catalan by playing pawn to c4 after castles. We are in the main line Catalan. Or sometimes some people, when you've not played pawn to c4, they might play b5 to stop pawn to c4. But in this case, we can play f4. Ask them what they want to do with that pawn. If they capture, then now we are free to play pawn to c4, and their structure is somewhat loose. And if they insist on playing b5, we can still now play pawn c4, and after the end passer, capture back with the knight, and once again we're just going to play our bishop to g2 and castle. So these structures are very simple to learn and very much playable, and yeah, they can cut down on the time you need to study theory, and then you can focus on other areas of the game and still have playable positions and get good positions in your games. Thank you for listening to me. Bye.
That will be just go for the London now.
Go for the London, okay. Right, that window for the bishop.
Oh, you can't put bishop d3 now because of before if I then
So sometimes it's necessary to do that. Basically, I'm playing this way because I wanted to show that the pieces can go to the same place almost every time. Okay, let's go to h2 all the way.
finally has pushed it.
Yes. I just wanted to create a triangle, the London triangle. Go from there.
Yeah, very serious. You want some blood.
So I don't know if that move is good.
Why you repeat
Okay,
that?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's that good. Okay, if it doesn't exactly. Okay, let me just do it.
Yeah,
Let me just do it. Oh, yes, before.
I think we are going for long castle now.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. So I'm opening everything up.
Okay, it's playing hide and seek.
Let's take one here.
I will tell you
I'm going to cast a short, yes. I'm going to threaten c4, but queen f6 is going to be played, so I'll castle.
There is very fine. There are two ways effect to one.
No,
Why?
his idea is if I play c4, then he plays queen f6, attacking me.
We castle. So now you can't pin and pin. Comfortable.
So they are not exactly playing back here.
They play that castle.
That's what he was actually counting on a check. Now, me castling is going to be very
This one is going to be
difficult. I have to switch gears. I'm playing too slowly. Let's take I'm in a precarious position. I'm actually in a very bad position.
we try queen e3. Let's bring bad things to the center.
Yes, but it doesn't save us from all these hanging points.
No matter what he does for us, we just castle. Let him do whatever he wants.
You see, we can't castle because they're not playing d8. We're in the pin. Okay, I'm going to go a3 and b4. That is the idea I'm saying a3 and b4. So a3 first and b4. The only way to get out of that pin, we can play c5 and then. Oh, because c5 I just go
for
b4.
it. Yes, if he takes then we castle.
So it was not a good idea to go c4 immediately. We should have first castled. Then threat.
Yeah, but that's the problem. When a pin and
no, before.
Oh,
yes,
yeah,
c4 is not
C4
right.
is
Castle first, then now we're threatening c4.
He wants to bring us from the center. The funny thing is that even as we are.
Do you know it is very easy to think the opponent doesn't know what he's doing because you're not understanding his ideas.
Yeah,
then for you to think he doesn't know what he is
doing.
Then you realize when it's too late that
things are serious.
Mm.
But here even whenever that he plays, we also have bishop d3, try to cover up some things.
You don't have bishop d3 because you're in check. So if you play bishop d3, they would just take it. It was after rook d4 that you're saying we have bishop d3, not so? Yes, but you don't have bishop d3. So we have to play b4. We have no choice. This guy thinking we don't play. Because if we didn't play, no.
We just take the rook. Yes, yes,
we can even take this one. We have a lot of moves. He has to respond to this one too. We shall castle now.
The guy thought he was having you. Kumbe, it was us having him. What?
So now we don't need to castle.
We just take.
We're not losing. Wait, check.
He comes up, we take check.
No, you won't come up. Play queen f8. Let's take. Let's simplify now. We have come out a corner. Very interesting. Have you ever played a game and someone plays very badly, but you don't punish them, and now the bad moves become very. It's very annoying, huh? You have to punish them immediately.
But the way guy is thinking is the
technique. So he still has a way out. Still found a way out.
I think we go for let's go for personal English meeting in the future. Guy is becoming very serious. He wants the material.
If we castle and he takes here, we are forced to exchange bishops, but I don't think we should be exchanging bishops.
So we just come because we want to move away the king. We are running low on time today. Castling is okay. Take can we play rook a1?
King cannot move.
King can't move. The only move we have in a position is castling.
Okay. No choice. This isn't good at all. This will be too passive. Okay, we have to play like cowards for this.
But we have an extra bonus on if I have a majority like inside.
Yes, but a majority on the flank is always better than that on the king side.
Why is it?
Because I will be going down.
Hello.
I think he was better in this position. King d6, let me see this in game. King d6 would have been better for him. For example, here, King d6. What would have been our plan here?
Then you have to go.
Now king can't get this side in time. Extending the rooks, I don't think is wise.
Yeah, that would be very funny. But anyway, since but now he has 2 points. The rest to the mountain.
Okay. Let's see. This person is playing sort of a reverse plan, so I like targeting that bishop immediately. Just to test them on their autopilot. Some people just automatically. Okay, now that I can take that anytime I want, I can just complete my development until the time when I can take.
I plus c5.
You plus c5, no problem. So here we're going to go not even going to go c3. So I can always take this bishop. But why take it when he has knight castle? Because then the rook has this open file. But if I want to castle this side, yes. So I'll just wait. Whenever I'm ready, I can always take it.
I'll grab it at our own time.
Yeah, on my terms at the right time.
So I think after castle, take then you place queen b6. Rest on
I'm not going to rush to castle. I'm going to play queen b6 myself. I mean queen b3 myself.
Wait for him to come.
Yes, I'm not in a hurry.
The guy is not feeling good. He wants to play his bishop, but now the knights just they are watching. You want him to do anything funny, you just eat it.
Okay, so queen there. It's not ready to do what I want him to do. So knight f1. Just need to get this bishop in. He has now bishop c8 if he wants, by the way. Takes, and bishop comes to c2. Okay, so he has castled, huh? Okay, so we can take that bishop.
Maybe bishop b6.
The bishop is outside.
Maybe the knight d to the right. So we push you up
So I want to push the e pawn.
maybe knight comes back, then you push. We have to add more firepower to this. But the problem is the
I
bishop.
had another idea, but it's okay.
If he plays knight to the flank, we just fire another knight down.
Knight h5.
We just go for the knight down. Maybe give him this. there's 5 nights on the ring.
Why do you want to fire that knight which is undeveloped? Yes, we can leave it with him by not need to fire that knight. Now that's okay. Now that the queen side is closed, we know that e4 is going to be powerful at the right time. F5 to close. Let me play bishop f2 and see whether he plays f5. Either one playing e4.
Yeah, even before you first even castle, then you bring the rook. Yeah, I prefer to make it slow. Now I'm starting to adopt your slow games.
Okay. You've seen the merit in playing slow. Finally castle. You're more comfortable now.
Nice. Put him to do what he wants.
So you can even attack this king side. Let's see there. Because we have liberation. Okay. You need to be that rough.
You're planning to play e4, e5, eh? So
No,
that
g4. Not to h5.
so when he checks the pawn, yeah, that the you
this diagonal is open. And our bishop comes to life. We are very happy. That's why he's organizing himself like that.
he is very serious. He wants the king inside.
Okay. Common mistakes. Bishop blocks.
Has to play rook. Yes.
Now that the knight cannot sit here, let's just ensure that we are the ones handling the king side alone. We're going to go f4, f5 and open up everything.
Yes. He can play d5 himself.
We shall just continue. Okay.
Maybe the thing bishop h3.
Yes. I'm going to put pressure on the right weaknesses. So now I'm beginning to wonder, how do I get my rook to that GC h5? So bishop f4 first. I'm not in a rush by the way. My idea is this together with the queen.
That is sweet. But
Let him be the one to figure out all kinds of defenses. For me, my king is just safe. We really want to take.
maybe we chill and we just bring another rook. The rook first.
Okay.
The guy is on pressure. He's fighting. Let's make us
The queens. Guy has no checks, so we are very okay. All these rooks are going to chase away the queen. We put the rooks at if the knight dares to move, it's a checkmate. First. Now we have to hunt that queen until.
Hey, he's being aggressive.
Okay, that was not good because the queen has no even counterplay this side. The knight is hanging. Oh, is a good move, eh? The knight falls. That's enough.
I think let's play like more two.
They seem innocent when they have attacking potential. Because it's a system, you don't have to worry about remembering where the pieces need to go. And the more practice you make, the more you get acquainted.
Yeah.
Yes. Let me play London this time. Okay, so we have this structure now. C3. It's going to be knight b2. Bishop to d3. Pieces go to the same squares. No need. So sometimes bishop g3 is okay. Sometimes if it was not p, knight to e5. Here I'm thinking bishop g5 must rotate around a little bit. See what they want to do. They are willing me to take that.
Take it with you. I think
They want to be able to play e5 comfortably.
if you take the castle, then rook can come in.
Also, they'll have the open file against my king. You see that?
Yes.
So we're going to transfer. No, yeah, it's going to make sure we also wait and see what they want to do. We're not in a hurry to do anything specific. We know our pieces are well placed, at least for now.
So the quick move is basically some tactics. Huh? Bishop, white bishop behind. Queen is in a same rank with the black bishop.
It also can happen in the CARO KANN exchange variation. Yes. Where queen is this side and the bishop and g4 with knight e5 before you know it. See this way? Your bishop can go there because of the pin of the queen.
Maybe what's strongest here? Are we castling or long or short?
So we are still going to go knight e5.
So when you can't push the pawn.
No, first I have to castle. Do you understand why we need to castle first? Because if we go knight e5 and they take and we take with queen, we can take with bishop, then take with queen, check. Yes. It's fast castle.
And again, that way to castle.
That's why the bishop has moved away. Because now the threat was knight to e5. So rook to e1, still bring back the threat of knight to e5. Now we are going to play here.
It's going to be forced to do castle.
Okay, let's do it. Okay, let's play the end game. I love the games of the game.
Just take the going to jump. If he jumps with the knight, you take bishop first.
Yes, if he jumps with the
If
knight.
if he plays knight e4, first take bishop g6. Then we look at him.
Okay. I think here with the trick. I can use the trick against me. Knight is knight jumping.
Then you take with bishop. Take knight takes bishop.
No, knight is attack.
Yeah, then knight takes bishop g6.
I know, but I did want to exchange those pieces. Anyway, looks interesting.
If he attacks the bishop, it will be the end of the day. Take this. He has to take with the rook falls.
The thing about first time controls, everything they make counts a lot, however small it is, because then you have to spend time on it. Time is very precious in this first time controls.
I've been saying,
You know, my first time control was rapid because I couldn't balance, but of late I've been having good performances in rapid surprisingly.
yeah, you improved a lot.
Even with time, I've been getting good performances. I put in some work. Of course, nothing comes easy, but I put in some work and it paid off.
Why did you eat that night?
You really don't like that night. Huh? So we play the Bishop versus Knight End game. Huh?
Yes, I feel like
Let's do it. Let's do it.
I feel like night was just there.
So yes, I'm sure that my knight doesn't have any prospects that side. Have to reroute. Oh, that was a mouse. I meant to play f3 because I was going to say we're going to put our pawns at 8 squares and make sure this bishop is very, very bad. Then we use the dark squares for the knight. Because I didn't want him having this square. Now played f4. It's okay. Not to worry. I'm going to pile rooks on the e5 first. Rook e3 set comes with rook e3.
You go with that plan.
Nice. Let's rotate it there. Let's get our knight in there.
I think bring back bishop
Makes it very easy. Very, very, very. Okay, now I'm going to transfer my king. This file opens, I want it to be like that. I've seen another place to go.
Hey,
And finally, good knight versus bad bishop comes to